I call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Lionel,
Here.
Director Brown,
Here.
Director Clayton,
Present.
Director Adams,
Here.
Director Gaten,
Here. Moving on to item number 1, minutes of the regular meeting held April 24th, 2025.
I've reviewed the minutes and I propose we adopt them.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I'm going to abstain.
4 ayes, 1 abstain. Moving on to item number 2, committee reports.
President, your executive committee met May 1st for the setting of this agenda.
All right. Moving on to item number 3, general manager's report.
Just happy to report that on the 1st of May, we had a training drill for, as required by Part 139. Had representatives from city, county, fire, and water. Police and police as well conducted a drill that simulated someone running through the gate, running into a plane, trying to take off. So it went very well. Got a little front coverage from it. So be back here in 3 years.
Yeah.
Second item is that yesterday we posted advertisement for bid for the rehabilitation of our main runway at the request of the FAA. Just to give you background, the FAA asked us, are you ready to go? We said yes. We've got some challenges on the funding. I think we got a plan between us and the FAA. The total project will have to straddle 2 years. But the first year that would come this federal fiscal year would cover the cost of design, and a phase 1 that would we believe will address the first roughly 1,800 feet of the runway. So that's our immediate need concern. The balance of the project would come the next federal fiscal year, would include some element of discretionary money that we weren't anticipating. We saw a shortfall. And but because it includes discretionary funding, it would come later in the fiscal year as they seek money availability. And so we'll have what we hope to have, and we're going to sort out the schedule here in the next month or so, is runway project this year, and then follow on the balance, 6,200 feet roughly, which would come sometime a year and a half from now. The upside is that gives us a year and a half to plan and think about that, and it's better funded, so we have some better options. But so that's in a nutshell. We'll keep you posted.
So phase 1.
It'll be, yeah. We got it. It depends on when the grant shows. Grant show. We're not going to do a runway project into the middle of the airfest.
Right.
We're blessed with having wonderful weather around here, so we can do it in front of the airfest with confidence that it can be done. Do we delay it till after? Important thing, we got a project moving that 6 months, a year ago, we thought we'll be able to do this. So good news.
So if in the first year, you'd be able to take care of the first 1,800 feet of the runway?
Don't hold me that number because we're backing into a funding number, but that is the educated guess at this point that the bids will allow us to get that, which my understanding is it's really the first 1,500 feet. So to get us past the worst of it.
And Martin, after the runway, what will we do about the taxiways? What's the next phase of asphalt repairs after the runway?
There is a designed and environment and cleared, assuming it's still good because it's wasn't funded. Improvement of Alpha, what they call phase 2 of what is an already existing project.
Okay.
It's essentially this area. I think it's from just past north of the tower down to the most recent project to the south.
Okay. And that will come after phase 1, phase 2?
If they gave us the money tomorrow, we'd go finish. That's where we're at.
Okay,
We didn't make it, we. Our priority is the runway.
Yeah.
Second priority is the taxiway,
okay.
but we're ready, when they're ready to fund it, we're ready to.
And what was that you're talking about?
Taxiway off for the rehabilitation of the parallel taxiway.
They started for it, they've done the,
We've completed,
south end of it already.
it's been completed to. The rest will get us up to about here.
Thank you, Martin.
That's all I have.
All right, awesome. Moving on to item report, manager of finance and administration report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I provided the hand register for your review and approval.
I have reviewed the demand register as well, and I will make a motion that we approve it.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. President, I also have a budget deviation, and I can go through the items if you would like, or there's an explanation. Consulting professional, we thought that we would have some issues resolved, so we reduced it. We reduced the budget for that one. Computer software, we also thought we were going to not use a couple of the programs, but we ended up paying for them, and that's something that next year we'll look at also. Computer software was lumped in with consulting other, and we created a separate account for just computer, and some of those items didn't get picked up. And that first year, but this year we're seeing, and so we'll have them this year's budget. The election expense was a guess, basically, an estimate. So we didn't have a number until they billed us. So it was less than it was more than we expected. And shop supplies, we had a theft last year, so we were expecting it to be less than it was, but it is what it is what it is. And the majority of the shop supplies are small tools. We try to, if they buy something to use for a project, we can put it into the project as building maintenance, but if they're just picking up tools at Osh or wherever they are, they go in this account, so it's kind of a catch-all.
Okay, I have a few questions on this. So you have budget estimate, let's start with number 1, reducing consulting fees for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025.
We're not reducing them,
Okay,
we're increasing them.
I see, okay. And then what software were we not able to cancel?
Well, there's the GASB 87 issue, so that's software that I need to do with the audit, and I misunderstood the auditors. They didn't want us to get it, but I misunderstood their instruction. The other piece of this, though, like I said, there's some things that it was in a different account and we moved it over and we didn't catch everything. Now we have a full year of actual expenses for the next year's budget, so this won't be an issue.
And then on number 4, you have down here for still establishing a baseline for office supplies after theft, but we're really doing shop supplies. So you really need to
Oh,
switch that
sorry,
up.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I'm sorry, that is not office, that's, no, you're right, that is shop supplies.
So we need to like switch that over.
Okay, we can fix that.
And other than that, I would make a motion to approve it.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else?
That's it for me.
Moving on to item number 5, public session. Statements from the floor will be heard during public session. Require a speak form, be provided for those wishing to address the board. After completing the form, please give it to the clerk. Requests requiring board action will be referred to staff and brought on the next appropriate agenda. Members of the public are cordially invited to speak on agenda items as they occur. Staff reports covering agenda items are available for review in the offices of the general manager on the Tuesday prior to each meeting. The board will establish a time limit for receipt of testimony, in this case, 3 minutes. The board reserves the right to establish further time limit for receipt of testimony. With that being said, I have Alan. Hey, Alan. Whatever.
I'm Alan Jones, my wife and I own and operate Sunwest Aviation. Most recently up in San Luis Obispo, we're looking for a new home. You heard a presentation from my mechanics about 2 months ago, I think it was, regarding the building between Coastal Valley Aviation and Artcraft that we'd be interested in leasing for a flight school. We been in business since 1987 and started off there a charter, became a maintenance operation, and then flight school in San Ynez. And I learned to fly in San Ynez in 1971, so it's been pretty close to 50 years.
Your Sunwest Aviation?
Yes.
Okay.
And we then, actually, we operated in Santa Maria here back in the late 90s for a couple of years. Finally, just wasn't a lot of money in the state for the interest. I think it's changed that period of time. We then we maintained a constant activity in San Ynez, and about 11 years ago, moved our primary operation to San Luis Obispo. And I can't say that's been a lot of fun. We're going to drive from San Ynez to San Luis Obispo every day. It's a big city airport. They could care less about general aviation. And it kind of felt like a cog in the wheel in their way. And I think they feel that way too. Unfortunately, as much as I think Santa Maria might be a good spot for us, and I think there's a demand here, I am concerned about the level of support we'd be able to garner from management. I don't want to jump out of the front pan into the fire from San Luis to Santa Maria, but some of our problems stem from just sheer lack of people to be able to do all the things we need in 3 arenas in which we work. And in fact, we've shut down the charter operation and now the maintenance operation, which is always just for our own aircraft. Then about the 24th or 5th of February, Connie told us we had to move out by the 28th of February from our flight school. We've been in the old terminal building for about 5 years, and they had decided they wanted to tear that building down. And the rest of us just didn't count, even though they couldn't tell us when they were going to tear it down. We still haven't heard. But I don't feel badly about leaving San Luis. The concern I have here is that we've got a situation where a board member has not treated us as I would expect to be treated. We taught Nash to fly in 1922 and 2022, and he received a grant for the first $9,000 for it, and we billed him about another 11,000 to 12,000 beyond that, plus non-payment penalties. Since then, totaling about 15,500. We have not received 1 penny's worth of compensation from them. And as a leader of this board, I have concerns about whether we'd be treated with the care and concern I think the board should feel would be beneficial to an operation like ours. I'm sure not saying we're the only people in the world that can run flight school here, but we've got a lot of experience. We are dedicated. My wife and I, my wife does all the accounting. She's 76, I'm 78. I should have retired about the time I got into San Luis Obispo. But I wasn't that smart, so that shows you what you're dealing with here. But I think it's important that, we get the kind of support wherever we end up, that allows us to exist. And, I just don't, I'm concerned about that. Makes me wonder if we really want to do it or not. Always open to questions and give you the best answers I can. But, we intend to do what we need in return. Starting off behind the power curve, with the cash flow situation, complicates like that. For us and for anybody. Has any questions?
Suggest public comment. It's not an agenda item.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. So we'll go in and set up a real estate committee meeting with them.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. We can do it. Let's go. We're gonna go ahead and set you up with the real estate committee. Thank you, Alan.
We can do that.
Real estate meeting?
Yes.
Public comment this night, please.
Moving on to item number 6, presentation by Forefront Power regarding district solar project.
I'd like to start off. I made there. The objective of this presentation was for you all to approve. It's called a scope and schedule change acknowledgement. And we did not include it. I did not include it in the bill. That's my mistake.
I just added it to the iPads and Dan on this copy.
Okay. Perfect. So,
Refresh your iPads, it'll be there.
thank you, Karen.
You're up.
Okay.
Sorry, there.
We got it up here.
So what we're presenting to you guys with the Schedule 8 document that you guys have in front of you is, what we're proposing is a increase to the rate that we had initially agreed upon when we contracted with the airport for the solar, that we're looking to put in the parking lot there. The reason for this is based on a lot of economic changes that we've seen since that execution. With increases in inflation, just the general economic climate, things like that, we've seen a lot of escalations in commodities, things that are necessary for the solar, electrical equipment, things of that nature. And I have a deck, and Mark, I apologize if we didn't need, if we maybe needed to go over that in the meeting here, but I can just note a couple of items here that are kind of along that line. So since that board approval in 2022, our primary cost categories have gone up, like I noted. So electrical wiring and cable since that time is up 38%. Additionally, one of the things that we're doing alongside of the solar is replacing your electrical switchgear. And that switchgear is, according to the Inflation Reduction Act, it provided some clarification that does not fall under some specific investment tax credits. And so that removes some eligibility for the costs associated with that. And then just generally, project finance, our operation maintenance costs, as well as our financing and just general borrowing costs have increased significantly as well. So based on economic data, the treasury yield has increased from roughly 2% in 2022 to 4% today. And interest rates have increased, 11 times since 2022, with pretty high interest rates as, to date. And so a lot of the stuff that we had seen as a result of, the COVID-19 pandemic and things of that nature. A lot of these things that we saw as temporary pains with inflation and things like that have become more permanent. And so that's the reason we're coming to you today for this proposed rate increase for the PPA. So what we're proposing at this point is increasing that from a current rate of 0.1620 to 0.1978 dollars per watt. So the year one savings that we proposed to you guys back in 2022 when we signed the agreement, we proposed that, or by our projections, we estimated that you guys would see about $28,000 in savings at that time. Your 20-year cumulative savings was a little over 1.9 million for the 20-year savings. Because of the significant rate increases that PG&E have proposed over the past few years and enacted over the past few years, or local utility here, that year one savings, even with this increase, has actually gone up 124% to 62,800. And our 20-year cumulative savings is a little over 3.1 million. So you've seen a 61% increase on the overall cumulative savings.
Why is that?
Even with this increase.
I didn't follow that.
So we typically assume that utility rates go up at a steady amount. And in the past few years, those rates have actually climbed significantly higher than the norm that we've seen in the past. So when we make these projections, we don't assume that they're going to continue to grow at that rate. We assume they're going to continue to grow at the normal rate that we had seen, kind of pre-pandemic or leading into that. But since then, and since the time that we've executed our original agreement here, we've seen those rates climb significantly. So where you guys would normally see maybe like a 2% bump, you guys are seeing something significantly higher than that from the utility. And so because of that, even though this rate is higher than what we initially agreed on, you're actually seeing higher savings because of this significant jump. And, really, I think that's just, it can really be just brought back to like the foresight of the staff here, the board, to get on board with putting in a solar project at the time that you guys have. You guys are in a position with the agreement that we make with the utility for the rate for the solar, where you guys are under a program called NEM 2 or NEM A, and under the newer program that is now available, and the program you guys are currently on, you could not sign up for now. You're seeing you're just seeing better savings, better returns with that, because you're locking in this, this steady rate for 20 years. You're not having to deal with rates increasing from PG&E. And when those rates increase, your savings increase because of that, because you're staying steady where it's at with the solar.
And what does the 3.1 million represent?
So that is the savings from the solar. So the offset of the energy usage for the solar. So right now, your energy offset is 90% so the solar is set to offset 90% of the usage for the airport's and energy use at that meter. And so that cumulative savings by maintaining that steady rate that you guys would agree to with us that's going to stay steady while those PG&E rates climb. And as they continue to climb year over year, that cumulative savings just increases as that goes on for that 20-year term.
Is that the dollars per watt you were talking about?
Yes, so that's the dollars per watt. So the PPA rate is that.
22% raise.
No,
Yes.
It's a significant raise. Now, what happens if we say no, we want to live to the original number?
Yes, so if you say no, I would have to go back to my team. My understanding at this point in time is that this would be the rate needed to continue moving the project forward. Now,
Yeah.
That said, we haven't stopped moving it.
Wouldn't that put you in a very bad legal position because we opted to go with you rather than somebody else and missed the NEMA too if we take and opt to say, we're not doing it?
Yeah,
That puts you in a bad liability situation.
that I can't specifically speak to, but
The way I look at this, okay, so we made an agreement in 22.
yes.
Okay, so now you're coming back here. I understand expenses have gone up, costs have gone up, and everything else like that. But am I paying this because of your non-performance from 22? I mean,
We haven't, well, I would not say that we've had non-performance since then. We've continued to move the project forward. We did provide Martin with like a timeline of things that we've done to continue to move the project forward, but, you know, we've continued to drive things forward with the utility, with our agreements with them and getting those up to date and keeping them up to date based on the design. We've continued to move forward with the AHJ here. We've been working on a tree plan to get the tree requirement that the city has for replanting trees situated, which we expect to have that in hand with the utility this month, or not the utility, with the AHJ this month, so that we can receive our permit to move forward with construction. So we have continued to move the project forward and not try to, you know, not perform by any means.
What would if you would have got the thing done timely, would you be here at the raise again?
I think based on I think based on in like the ITC, so the investment tax credit that we saw with the clarification that we provided for, or we were provided for the switchgear as the example. I believe we still would be in this position if we had been able to somehow mobilize even, you know, even 6 months ago or a year ago to build the project. I think we would still be in this similar position.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm confused then. So what have we done for the last 2.5 years?
So we've
I
done,
haven't seen that timeline, but 2.5 years has gone by. I've seen projects like this go up in 6 months. I don't, no, really, honestly, there's shopping centers, there's schools, that have done this in 6 months. We're talking 2.5 years. I'm confused.
so when we start the project, we start with the diligence portion. So we do all of our land and title diligence, move that portion forward. We do geotechnical evaluations, which were completed out there in the parking lot. We do a few other diligence items along those lines, environmental items, things like that. And then we move into a design phase. And so at that point, we're moving into bringing on a design contractor, moving through that design phase. And then moving into the AHJ review, which a portion of the AHJ review has taken an abnormally lengthy amount of time to complete, due to some, I would say, somewhat overkill requirements from the city, from the AHJ. We plan to remove for the array roughly 20 trees. And their initial requirement was to install 120 trees back on the property somewhere. Initially, the city did not want to agree to allow us to reduce that number and pay for trees to be planted somewhere else. They wanted all of them to be planted on the property here. So we've spent a lot of time going back and forth with the city to get that requirement reduced to what we have at today, which is replanting, I believe, 24 trees. And then we have a payment in lieu of replanting some trees in another location for the city, wherever they choose to plant those.
I'm honestly, I'm confused because like when I've had problems with the city of Santa Maria, I've gone to the mayor and she's put me in contact with somebody. And then usually we all sit down at a table and it takes a few weeks to iron out all the regulations and what they're going to impose upon us, but not 2.5 years. I'm just baffled by the amount of time. And then now we're being asked to pay more for the delay in the project.
So right now our payment is 16 cents per watt. Is that what we're paying?
Yeah, it's 1620, yes, yeah.
And what is that per month? Do we pay you monthly on that? For what?
Yeah, essentially, it's based on the usage of the generation of the system, essentially, yes.
Oh, for the life of the system.
Yeah, for the life of the system, yes, yeah, and so that's, what I mentioned, that rate basically stays a constant through the 20-year term of the agreement.
So what would be the difference in, 3 pennies, over 20 years?
22%.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
That'd be a
it's,
bunch, wouldn't it?
yeah, as you know, it's a 22% increase there in the overall rate. As far as the overall cost, I can't say what, exactly those, I don't have that information here in front of me, but with our projections, that it just equates to what savings you guys would see based on paying the utility for using the electricity.
And you're saying it's gonna be able to take care of 90% of this airport?
Yeah, so when we initially,
Martin just said,
Of the meters.
of the meter it's going to, yeah, so it doesn't necessarily cover the, entire, I guess, like the entire footprint of it.
It's
It's
basically,
the main,
look at the electric bill in half.
yeah, it's
For
the,
the terminal.
it's the primary meter for the terminal, yeah, is my understanding. So it's 90% of that primary.
That was
Yeah, helpful.
what is the bill monthly? We just saw it, is that an average?
It's about 10,000.
So we cut it down to 5.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still not, that's not happening more, right? With this 20% increase?
What's that?
It wouldn't be happening more with this 20% increase.
No, it would, but it's significant less than what they're charging right now, PG is charging. What's the rate, what's the current rate commercial? Don't tell me you don't know.
I really, I apologize, I know, my sales team would probably know that, and I apologize for not knowing that, my sales team would probably have that right in their back pocket, so I apologize.
I think what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to sit down with the powers to be and have a conversation, because I think this is a bigger thing than just us voting. They allow you to tell where it's rate. There's a bigger issue than state than that, as state, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I had a contract that's signed from 22.
We have a situation similar, which we shouldn't really go into this, but we figured a deal pre-COVID was gonna be a $1.3 million deal that turned out to be almost a $5 million deal. It's still our responsibility. Didn't matter. We didn't get it done. Let's take that state.
And by any chance, do you have a summary that's going to show us where all these increases are? I know you've read it, but like I'm going through the document here.
Yeah, it's not included
Okay.
that document that you guys are reviewing
Yeah, I don't
is
have-
the amendment for the contract.
I need a summary so that I can know what the original was and now what you're asking of the.
Which committee would this fall under?
What?
Committee, I believe this is
It's actually a real estate deal.
I would say, why don't we take and set up a meeting and go over this in more detail? You know, the real estate committee, I think that would be the better way of doing it, then we can get back to the board with the report, and then the board can make a decision on what they want to do. Right now, I don't think right now, the way it looks, it's not gonna be favorable for you, so that's why I think it's gonna be your best interest for us to sit down,
Okay.
set up a meeting.
I appreciate that, and I will share with you guys that this is not an ask for the airport district to take on all of the costs associated. My team has ensured me that this is, we are asking for this to be essentially a shared cost increase.
So I understand what you're saying, I understand what you're saying.
We've gone through and exhausted all of our avenues on our side as well, so we're not looking for you guys to cover the bulk of this cost.
The name of your company
Or
again?
anything like that.
The name of the company?
Forefront Power.
And I think what we do, we need to have the meeting with whoever the powers to be on your end.
Okay,
It would be Chuck and I, have a meeting to sit down and discuss this thing.
Okay. Is
That way
this,
we can see it, we need to see it a little more deeper than we're seeing right now. I'm only saying we had a contract outside.
understood,
I
and
think we need to review the terms of the contract too.
Exactly.
understood, and just for my curiosity, so I can share with my team, obviously, is this something that I believe you guys meet twice, is it twice a month that you guys?
Yeah, we do twice a month.
Twice on the board, but
Yeah,
for the committee, it'll be,
Whatever.
whenever.
Kind of whatever, okay,
Yeah.
understood.
When is your start date going to be to do this thing? To put the solar in? Are we holding this up because of this?
So, what my understanding is, you know, these costs can, you know, costs for construction can obviously continue to increase, right?
Well, I got, the longer it goes, the higher it's gonna get. We need to get this meeting set up right away.
Yes, right, and so, I mean, that would be my concern, right, is obviously like moving it down the road and at all, you know, is that's a concern, right, but, you know, certainly I can reshare the deck here that I have, you know, with Martin and his team, so he can provide that to you guys.
Okay.
If you guys have any further questions about it, you know, please let us know, we can absolutely get back to you as soon as possible to.
I think the
Provide
meeting will be the
responses.
next step.
I'll reach out to Thomas about, see if we get a meeting next week.
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
You said 24 trees on the property, how many off the property?
Right now, I believe we took them down from it was about 124 trees, 120 trees they wanted planted. And we are planting 24 on the property and I believe covering cost for another 40, 45 trees. We brought that number down in half essentially.
I don't know, you're taking out a home, which is really a grass, it's not a tree.
Yeah, the city was the first to admit to me that from an environmental standpoint, they weren't as beneficial, and so that was our point to try to reduce that number.
What's the size of the grass of that out there? How long can that solar last?
Of the solar, you know, I would say 30 or so odd years, that's about how long it can last. Again, our agreement is for 20. And I believe during that term, at some point or another, I believe some of the equipment would wind up being replaced just to keep the efficiency at its maximum. Yeah.
Anything else? Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Moving on to item number 7, mandatory report on status of vacancies and recruitment.
Yeah.
Just some feedback, this is a state requirement when you make this report. So there's a lot of depth there, it's because of the regulation.
Neil said it was very good.
So it's a very good report.
It's a very good report. This is a public hearing that's required. The legislature, back in 2024, when it was a different world, passed this law because they saw too many vacancies in state and local government, if you could believe it. That's not a problem here in the district. You have a lot of detail, wonderful detail in this report. So we just ask that you open and close the public hearing on this item as required by state law. And this is the first year.
Is it a motion? Is it a motion or is it a resolution?
Can't make a motion. He can suggest what we're talking about.
So this is
Open
the
and
public
close.
hearing.
There.
You've received the information. If you have any questions, I'm sure your staff would be delighted to answer them. Again, the legislature's one step behind. They passed the law and it's a different world after it goes.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Any questions for me?
We'll consider the public hearing held and closed.
I'll move to close that public hearing.
It's closed. Yeah. Moving on to item number 8. Authorization for the president and secretary to execute a service agreement between the district and Aviation Management Consulting Group for an airport rent study, and authorization from the general manager to execute statements of work under the agreement.
Daniel, can you explain what we're doing here?
Yes,
Certainly. You can handle it.
Okay.
Good. Well, or you direct staff to take another look at the proposal that was last presented to you, which we have. And we add,
For what?
oh, sorry, for, the agenda item for, rent study, for fee study. So we want to add some items that had not been included in the original, schedule of fees that would be reviewed. And the proposal that's before you would allow for that. Daniel was smart enough, I thank you, Daniel, to suggest that it be done for an amount not to exceed, that won't be specific on the fees. So that we can allow staff some flexibility if there was something we missed that we wanted to add, it would be for an amount not to succeed what's shown in the agreement.
I have a question on this. Why are we doing T-hangs? We've already done that. That should be pulled. So that's why, what you're approving now is an agreement to enter into that contracting relationship. And then this is gonna be sort of a, we call it purchase order style. So I think that's exactly the issue, is that there are some items that were included and actually some items that your board brought up at the last meeting that weren't included. So we're still working, your staff is still working through the exact details of which, which rents and which fees need to be looked at. So rather than keep on continuing to push it back, table it, this arrangement will let you enter into an agreement. It won't exceed a maximum of $80,000 is what's on page 1. And it'll allow your staff the flexibility to, in consultation with your board, make sure that the right properties, the right categories are included, and the ones that don't need to be looked at are not.
So we can pick and choose, we can just give a list of what we want to look at, and that's it, we don't have to look at everything generically.
So that's what your staff will work on.
There are some items that shouldn't be included in this study.
Right. That was my point.
Yes, so we just, rather than going back and forth arguing about what should be included, we do it this way, and then we'll knock out what we know needs to be done.
What about the fire department? Are we gonna do a study on that and see what their value
Well,
of that
if
is?
we do it this way, theoretically, we do it that way.
So you basically,
Don't know how many comps.
you're gonna do a PO, hey, I want you to look at this, but in your purchase order. And you've just got some flexibility to.
Can we set up a airport planning and capital improvement committee to run through those
It'd be nice to know what the rent those.
with staff and
Would be nice to know.
We'll set up a committee meeting.
But the thing is, study, it's not.
Well,
it's not our-
So we can move it forward. I think that's the important thing, is your board has to move forward on this to get it ready.
Yeah.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
What's the motion?
We approve it.
Not to exceed the 71,000.
Right. So just to be clear, so this is a not to exceed for $80,000. The proposal that you're probably looking at that has the AMCG logo on top is only included for reference. It's not actually part of this agreement. So that's just there for your reference and for the public's reference as to what kinds of things that they'll look at. But that's going to be part of the final purchase, so the purchase order type.
Is this gonna be the real estate committee is going to take and go to the board to say, we want to do this and this?
No, so part of your authorization here is both to authorize signature on this services agreement, the generic services agreement, but also to allow Martin to process these, their scopes of work.
And you're spending 1,000 right now.
So right now, under, again, and if you look at it, you'll notice the date on this proposal is April 24th, which I believe it was provided to you before your board's last discussion about, for example, the outside storage lots. So this does not include certain things that your staff believes that you have direction to provide, and it includes certain things that don't need to be in
Is
there.
there a way that we can add on just to see what it would be for that fire department if we were to rent out?
This, okay, this company does not do that.
They don't.
That's why we're suggesting this approach. So, you want to look at that, we can look at it a different way.
But Martin, just so I'm clear, we are going to look potentially at box hangers, community hangers, T hangers or not, I don't know. Office space, terminal space, shop storage, apron and aeronautical land.
Yes, the primary goal with this group, their specialty is aviation related fees.
Okay.
How you would look at providing a fair market appraisal
I think there would be.
of a commercial activity, aviation related commercial activity, is different than how you would look at a non-commercial warehouse.
Right.
That's a local market thing, where this has to look at comps to other airports, so it's a special.
Okay.
I mean, you know, as far as routine hangers, box hangers and everything else, we did the study on that Warwick Market and we know where that is, because that's easy to do.
We'll skip
But
those.
we're looking at like, okay, let's look at our commercial one.
I think you'd be very specific on what we're looking at.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's look at our commercial operations.
okay,
That's really what we're looking
okay.
at,
So
in
we-
my opinion. But
So we know, but under this, what you would agree to, or what you would approve, excuse me, if there were sufficient funds, we could go to someone else and look at, under this approval, without coming back to your board, to look at different ways to appraise fire stations or appraise non-commercial real estate.
Not to receive.
Just have more flexibility to get to where you need to get.
Deb, do you want to continue your motion?
I'll continue my motion, yes.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to item number 9, resolution 944, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Santa Maria Public Airport District, amending rates and charges for 2025-2026 fiscal year.
This is a standard yearly fee adjustment for CPI. It's not new.
What was
That's
this?
not in the package.
3%. It's not, resolution 945 is on there.
No, that's the salary.
This is for the
Salaries.
employees.
Rates and charges.
944,
I don't see it.
that's not in there.
It's not in the package.
I said we table this till we get it.
Yep. I agree with, Chuck there, let's go ahead and table this item, go in the packet, we have a appropriate amount of time to review. With that being said, let's go ahead and move over to item number 10, resolution 945, the resolution of the Board of Directors of the Santa Maria Public Airport District approving salaries and salary increases for district employees for fiscal year 2025-2026.
So this is our yearly CPI increase, and it was 3% from March over March. So this just reflects the 3% increase in the cost of living.
I make a motion that we accept it as presented.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second, let's go ahead and get the resolution.
President Rand,
Accepted, yes.
Director Brown,
Yes.
Director Clayton,
Yes.
Director Adams.
Yes.
Director Guy.
Yes.
It was 160% like I got them.
The county.
Yeah.
It was only 48%.
40 out.
48%.
48%.
That's a big deal.
Moving on to item number 11, authorization for general manager to execute the letter of authorization and the president and secretary to execute the third amendment to option and lease agreement between the district and New Singular Wireless PCS LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, successor in interest to Santa Barbara Cellular Systems LT Limited, a GA limited liability partnership, DBA AT&T Wireless Services, subject to review and approval by district council. Why don't we go a little more difficult for you, Gary?
AT&T did that for you.
So what they're saying is, hey, can we install a generator to provide emergency power to the existing AT&T solar array, solar tower that's on the large hangar? It's your generic standalone generator pack that takes up less than the space of a parking spot. It would sit, what's shown there, it would sit where you go out, there's a transformer adjacent to the building by the door the utility room that's right below the AT&T space. And it just, they place a generator and applying a generator to the.
So this is something to tell Lisa that.
Yes. Is it a new lease or an addendum?
So it'll be an addendum or amendment. Right now, all you have in front of you is the general proposal and a request to sign that letter of authorization. Once we get the lease read, then bring it back to you. If the lease is exactly what's already in this letter of authorization, this packet, you're authorizing will signature on that.
Are they storing electric in that? Is that what they're doing?
No, it's a generator.
Backup.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Well, and to be clear, there's no cost to us.
Oh, no cost us, so we're gonna be charging additional.
Okay, just want to be clear.
It's
I'm happy
easy
with
enough.
that.
All right, we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to item number 12, authorization for the general manager to execute the change order for the U.S. Customs upgrades, building and site civil between the district and Newman Construction and Management, Inc.
This is the one you want to do a meeting on.
That's different. This is what was, includes the change order from the last time where you refused that there was some, costs for, they wanted to charge for, delay.
They've had LD charges.
So that is removed, and then there's a number of additional change orders that, have actually work that were added that will simply, put together with this one. We'd recommend approval.
And looking at this one, basically, this is all just kind of material, this is work that's been accomplished, so I'll make sure you approve this now.
And the delay penalties, they let those go?
No. It's not part of this.
No, this,
That's next week's meeting.
yeah, this is, we just have material. This is work that's been accomplished and.
I'll take the opportunity just to inform you that we're working on putting together a meeting with, your real estate committee to meet with the contractor. We met with them this morning, John Smith and I, and, they're very good conversation, very polite. They're, you know, a well-established construction business with the district before. And they simply think that they have an argument to make that wasn't made. And they just, and we suggested we would get them together with, the real estate committee and have that conversation. So we'll see what comes of it.
Okay, we had a motion. Do I hear a second? Motion to approve, second. We have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to item number 13, authorization for one staff member to attend the National Transportation Safety Board Transportation Disaster Assistance Division's Initial Response Phase Airport Investigation and Family Assistance Operations Overview Course to be held June 26, 2025 in Washington, D.C.
So our operations specialist, Raul Luck, has been doing a great job since he got here. He, did a fantastic job coordinating the training drill. And this is right in line with that training.
What's that called? The training drill?
Triennial, it's every 3 years.
Yes, okay.
So it's a free training, we just have to pay to get them there.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be good training for him and a good investment in a new employee, and I think he's earned the opportunity.
I think like we approve that.
I hear a motion.
Yes, second, yeah.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Can you jump back just for a second to the number 12, the customs? We're still on for June date. We're gonna be finished,
If everything goes well,
and then we turn it over to customs.
it'll be a matter of weeks before it's wrapped up, and, so in June, we'll hand it over to customs, and then they'll begin their recruitment process.
After they get in there and get comfortable with their building and make sure it's just how they want it, huh?
They don't want to commit to trying to recruit someone if they don't have a building to move into.
Thank you.
The upside is, we're not, contrary to, unlike last time, we had to provide a car. This time, they don't want us to provide a car, we're providing one. So, good, so. Silver lining in there.
Nice. Oh, just brings his own car.
All right, let's go ahead and move straight into closed session.
You can actually, the board can table number 14.
Okay. I guess we're going straight to item number 15, director's comments. Let's go first, or?
I've got it.
Well, I'm gonna say what Director Guy said last time, that I think we're moving in the right direction, blah, 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 and all that good stuff, because we are. And I'm so excited that we're pulling together and great things are happening in the future. I got no other comment.
You go with no comment.
I'm gonna go with no comment. No comment as well.
Can I back up on it?
You can back up.
Can we set a meeting up with the city manager and the airport, or the fireman, I'm gonna take and start negotiating for next year's lease? So-
Would you like me to set a real estate or a committee meeting?
This should be, yeah, we should
Because
set it. as a real
Chief
estate-
Andrews has asked me whenever you're ready.
Yeah, no,
He's happy.
I think we're ready. I think
Okay.
we need to get it set up, so we have a time, we're gonna do this. We need
It's
to
up to
start
you if you would like.
communicating this. We're running out of time, because it starts what, here, less than a year, right? That's my,
Well, that's about ready to go out for bid too, isn't it? With the contract being done.
That's to be determined, how do y'all want to?
well, I think, let's have the meeting first before we do.
Yeah, we're supposed to make
We'll come
comment.
back.
Yeah.
We're just supposed to make comment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion, do I have a second? We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Pretty good picture, guys. Yeah. Still,